Dear students, let us continue our discussion on the second chapter, the salient features of the Constitution. We have already discussed the meaning of fundamental rights, but still, once again, let me tell you that the fundamental rights which are mentioned in the part 3 of our Constitution ensures all-round development of a person. It tries to protect an individual from any discrimination made on the basis of race, color, gender, religion, or any other such considerations. The fundamental rights give dignity and equality to a person. We have 6 basic fundamental rights. They are the right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. In class 9th, you don't need to know the articles. You only need to know the meanings of each and every fundamental right. The right to equality is mentioned in the articles 14 to 18. Article 14 ensures equality before law and equal protection of law. Article 15 ensures prohibition of discrimination. Article 16 guarantees equality of opportunity in respect of employment. Article 17 ensures abolition of untouchability, and Article 18 ensures the abolition of titles. Now, let me tell you what these articles means. It means that the right to equality tries to do away with any discrimination. It provides for equal access to public places like shops, hotels, places of entertainment, wells, bathing ghats, and places of worship. It means that all these places, any person can use them, can visit them. No one can be stopped on the grounds of religion, race, caste, gender, or place of birth. No one can be stopped from using any particular hotel or shops just because they belong to any particular religion or race or caste. It also prohibits any discrimination in public employment on any of these bases. That means a person has not been given a job because he belongs to a particular religion or a race or a caste is totally prohibited. It's a right which we all enjoy, that in the society no one can practice any discrimination in respect of employment. These rights are very important because in the earlier times or in the past in India, there were a lot of discrimination and everyone did not have equal access to all these public places or employment. The practice of untouchability was also prevalent. It is one of the crudest manifestation of inequality. It has been abolished under the right to equality. The same right also provides that the state shall confer no title on a person except those who excel themselves in military or academic field. Thus, the right to equality strives to make India a true democracy by ensuring a sense of equality of dignity and status among all its citizens. Let us move to the next fundamental right, that is right to freedom, mentioned under Article 19 to 22. Article 19 guarantees freedom of speech, expression, assembly, movement, settlement, and profession. Article 20 ensures protection against conviction for offences. Article 21 ensures protection of life and liberty, and Article 22 guarantees protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. Article 19 is a cluster of 6 essential freedoms. They are basic freedoms enjoyed by the citizens of India. That is, freedom of speech and expression. We are free to assemble peacefully without arms. We have the freedom to form associations and unions, and we also have the freedom to move freely throughout India. We have the freedom to reside and settle in any part of India, and freedom also to practice any profession, trade or business. Next we have right to life and liberty. Equality and freedom or liberty, they are two rights that are very much essential to a democracy. It is not possible to think of the one without thinking of the other. Liberty means freedom of thought, expression and action. However, it does not mean freedom to do anything that one desires or likes. If that were to be permitted, then a large number of people will not be able to enjoy their freedom. Therefore, freedoms are defined in such a manner that every person will enjoy her or his freedom without threatening the freedom of others and without endangering the law and order situation. On the right to life and personal liberty, no citizen can be denied his or her life except by procedure as laid down under the law. No one can be denied one's personal liberty. That means no one can be arrested without being told the grounds for such an arrest. If arrested, the person has the right to defend himself by a lawyer of his choice, and also it is mandatory for the police to take that person to the nearest magistrate within 24 hours. The magistrate, who is not a part of the police, will decide whether the arrest is justified or not. This right is not just confined to a guarantee against taking away of an individual's life, but has wider application. Sometimes a person is arrested by the government because the person is seen as a threat to law and order or to the peace and security of the nation. This is known as preventive detention. The person can be arrested and can be kept in the jail for up to 3 months. After 3 months, the case has to be brought before an advisory board for review. Though preventive detention looks like an effective tool in the hands of the government to deal with antisocial elements, but this provision has often been misused by the government, and so there is a clear tension here between the right to life and personal liberty and the provision for preventive detention. Again, the right to freedom are not always absolute. A lot of restrictions are imposed by the government related to freedom of speech, expression and assembly. Another very important fundamental right that we Indians enjoy is the right to freedom of religion. According to our constitution, everyone enjoys the right to follow the religion of his or her choice. This freedom is considered as hallmark of democracy because rulers and emperors in different parts of the world did not allow the residents of their kingdom to enjoy the right to freedom of religion. Persons who followed a religion different from that of the religion of the ruler were either persecuted or they were forced to convert to the official religion of the rulers. Therefore, democracy has always incorporated the freedom to follow the religion of one's choice as one of its basic principles. In India, everyone is free to choose a religion and practice that religion. Freedom of religion includes the freedom of conscience. This means that a person may choose any religion or may choose not to follow any religion. Freedom of religion includes the freedom to profess, follow, and propagate any religion. Freedom of religion is subject to certain limitations. The government can impose restrictions on the practice of freedom of religion in order to protect public order, morality, and health. This means that the freedom of religion is not an unlimited right. The government can interfere in religious matters for rooting out certain social evils. For example, in the past, the government had to take steps banning practices like sati, bigamy, or human sacrifice. Such restrictions cannot be opposed in the name of interference in the right to freedom of religion. The limitations on the right to freedom of religion always produced tensions between the followers and the government. When the government seeks to restrict some activities of any religious group, people of that religion feel that this is interference in their religion. Under right to freedom of religion, one has the right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes, to manage its own affairs in matters of religion, to own and acquire movable and immovable property, and to administer such property in accordance with law. No person shall be compelled to pay taxes for the promotion of a particular religion, and no religious instructions, however, shall be provided in any institution that is maintained out of the state funds. Even the religious instructions may be imparted in educational institutions recognized by or receiving funds from the state. No person attending such institutions shall be compelled to receive that religious instructions without the consent of himself or of his guardian. Being a country which is home to several religions, it's necessary that the government must extend equal treatment to different religions. It means that the government will not favor any particular religion. India does not have any official religion like other countries. We don't have to belong to any particular religion in order to be a prime minister or president or judge or any other public official. We have also seen that under the right to equality, there is a guarantee that the government will not discriminate on the basis of religion in giving employment. The institutions run by the state will not preach any religion or give religious education, nor will they favor persons of any religion. The objective of these provisions is to sustain and nurture the principle of secularism. India is a secular democratic country. So we have discussed 3 fundamental rights today. The next 3 fundamental rights I will discuss in my next video. Hope you have understood. Kindly watch it once again to follow it and to do the remaining question answers.